What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Shane here, coming at you guys with some pros and cons of joining the United States Army. If you like the video, subscribe, like, comment, and share it with a friend if you or someone else is considering joining the Army. Disclaimer, everything I say, you can research it on your own. Talk to a recruiter if you're considering enlisting. Talk to a recruiter for your OCS options if you want a commission. Or talk to your local ROTC program as well. Without further ado, here we go. So the first pro is you actually get to pick your own MOS after you take the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery Test, better known as the ASVAB. Depending on your scores and what you qualify for, you get to choose your MOS based off the lists that the recruiters give you. Notice that the list does change pretty often, so if the job that you're looking for isn't there, you could always come back at a later time and pick another one, or have a list, but don't settle for a job just to join, because you're going to end up picking a job you don't like and you're not going to enjoy your time in the Army whatsoever. The con is, though, if you pick a job that, let's say, it's difficult, or you pick Special Forces or some medical job that's super difficult, or EOD, something that has a high attrition failure rate, upon failing, you will be needs of the Army, which is a list of MOSs that not many people either know about or want to do. So consider that. There is that possibility. The Army will give you the opportunity to attain your MOS, but if you fail, it is unfortunately on you, and the Army will make you fill a slot of what the Army needs at that time. Another cool option you have when you enlist is, instead of taking an enlistment bonus, you could enlist under the Student Loan Repayment program, which means that when you enlist over a 36-month period minimum, the Army will pay off all your student loan debt, but everyone knows that in order to be an officer, there's a few other things, but you have to at least have a bachelor's degree. Under this program, you do have to enlist. You could always go to OCS afterwards, which I know many people that have done that. They will enlist, get their student loans paid off, then commission after they enlist, and they end up saving a lot more money, which means they make more money, as opposed to just commissioning and paying off their debt. The Army pays it off for them, so in the long run, they actually make a lot more money, and they save a lot more money. Next up, I have pay and allowances, and I can make a whole video on this if you guys want it, but I'm going to go over the very basic, simple things. You have your base pay, which is based off of your grade and your time in service. Notice if you look up these pay charts, this is before taxes, obviously, so take that into consideration. You have your base pay. You have a cost of living adjustment if you're stationed in an area that has higher than normal costs of living. If you are married or you're in an area that doesn't allow for single soldier housing, you do get BAH and BAS, which is basic allowance for housing, and basic allowance for subsistence, which is just food and rent money the Army gives you. Like I mentioned earlier, you can get bonus pay, which is basically a bonus. Like, they give you a lump sum amount of money because you're doing a job that's in need. Then you also have incentive pay, like airborne, hazardous duty, stuff like that. Another thing to consider, it's not really a pay, but it's more of like something you would pay for, is health insurance. In the Army, it's free, so that's something to consider. The only con to that is it's very advantageous to be married. And like I said earlier, if you're in an area that doesn't have single soldier housing, you'll get BAH and BAS. But most duty stations do have barracks, which means you would not get that BAH and that BAS. You'd be afforded a barracks room and a DFAC to eat at. So I consider that a con, because, you know, you're not getting the money that you would get if you were in a different situation, but you don't have to pay for rent, so you don't really need the rent money, if that makes any sense. So up next, I have listed your time off and what your normal day looks like. So in the Army, especially if you're overseas, but even stateside, it doesn't really matter. You have a lot of 4-day weekends, which is just 4 straight days where you're not working. You earn 30 days of leave per year, which is 2.5 days per month. And you have passes, like you can take 4 days off if you just request it, but it has to be 2 duty days, 2 non-duty days. So while everyone else is at work on a Friday and a Monday, you could request to have Friday through Monday off, and you're just kind of hanging out, chilling, doing whatever. It has to get approved, obviously. You can't just put it in and say, I'm leaving, but there's a lot of opportunities for you to have free time and explore and, have fun. With that, though, you do also have, training cycles, field problems and events, which when you're in the middle of a training cycle could be stressful. You might feel overworked sometimes. You feel really busy. But you also have a lot of periods where you're not in the training cycles and you're just going home early, getting a lot of days off, having a lot of downtime, hanging out. So it, give or take, sometimes you're really busy and sometimes you're not busy at all. It just depends on your MOS, your unit, your training cycle, where you're at in that training cycle. So it's sometimes you're busy, sometimes you're just not doing anything at all. So I wouldn't say it's really a con, because when you're busy, you're at least, your mind's not thinking about like working. You're just trying to get through what you're doing at that time. So just be prepared if you do decide to join the United States Army. Sometimes you are busy. You're training, you're in the field for, a few days, couple weeks, maybe a month. It just depends on what you're doing, what your unit's having you do. So you will be busy sometimes, but you'll also have times where you're going home early a lot and you're getting 4-day weekends and it's block leave, so you get 2 weeks off of work going back home. So consider that. Okay, so now I'm going to get into some of the smaller things. Like I said, comment down below if you have any questions. I'll answer it to the best of my ability. It can be any question. There's no stupid questions, and I'll make another video on any questions that y'all have. But make sure to like the video, comment any questions you have, and I'll answer them if I can. But you get free gym access in the United States Army, or the military in general. So you want to pay gym memberships, because health and fitness is a big deal in the military. They want you to be healthy, they want you to be fit, they want you to be eating clean and right and stuff. So free gyms. If you are single, the Army has better opportunity for single soldiers, which is BOSS, and they have really cool trips they do sometimes. Like you get to go to Houston or Syracuse or whatever city you're at and get to go to cool events all for free, and they'll take you there, pay for everything. You have free access to nutritionists and dietitians if you're trying to get your body right and you're trying to be clean and get stronger, get faster, feel healthier. The Army gives you free access to that. And these are more cons for like my younger viewers that are thinking about joining, or people that don't have a whole lot of life experience. All my older experienced people will understand this isn't that big of a deal, but if you're younger, it's going to be a kind of a culture shock. But you will have very structured days, early wake ups, sometimes long days, like I said. Like PT in the military is 6:30 in the morning, and that's pretty early for some people. Your day's planned out, the training events are planned out, everything's planned. You just have to execute when you're new to the Army. Unless you're commissioning, then you're going to be part of the planning process. But if you're enlisting, you just execute. You just do what you're told, when you're told, where you're at, in the correct uniform, and you'll be okay. But it is a structured environment. And if you're used to, high school, lollygagging, doing whatever you want to, it will be a culture shock at first. But it'll help you grow up and learn, how to go about business and how to, work, basically, because any job is pretty structured. If you work even at like a Walmart or anything like that, it's still scheduled. You got a place to be. You have tasks you have to complete. It's the same concept. But if you haven't done that before, it could be a culture shock to you. This is the coolest pro I have listed that a lot of people don't know about or utilize. But so obviously when you get your GI Bill, you can go to college after the Army, but you can use tuition assistance while you're in and go to school. But on top of that, the Army even has pipeline programs for you to become a physician's assistant, physical therapist. They'll send you to med schools. You can be a doctor. You just got to qualify, apply and qualify for it. The Army has a program for you to go from enlisted to a flight warrant officer, so you'll become a pilot, which does translate to the civilian world. And these are great opportunities people don't even sometimes know about. They don't know they're actually in the Army, these programs. Given these do have active duty service obligations, they do vary and it changes from time to time, so just make sure you research that at that time. I know most of these are 6 to 8 year obligations, but for the amount of money you're getting and the amount of experience you're getting and the career they're paying for, they pay for all of this, by the way. It's not a bad deal. So look into that, and if you have any questions, comment down below. Make sure to subscribe, like the video, share it with a friend. It's been your boy Shane. I'm out. Peace.